My name is Nathan Russell. I'm the senior judge for this panel, and I'm as, I'll introduce myself. Please remember not to the presentation, the team that's presenting. You guys stay, please. Uh, I am associate director with Raytheon Technologies, a defense aerospace company. I've been associated with the program for probably about 5 or 6 years now. I'll go around I think let's start with Marianne.
Oh, hi, I'm Marianne Aguilar, and I worked in marketing for about 25, 30 years. I'm currently retired, um, and this is my third year judging.
Awesome. Alejandro?
Hi, Alessandro Bermudez. I am a wine and spirits executive for over 20 years in the distribution chain. And yeah, pleasure to be here. It's my first time judging.
Awesome. Norma?
Hi, Norma Miranda. I'm the Director of Worldwide Product Strategy at Herbalife, and I've been judging since before COVID, this competition.
Awesome. And John?
Hi, I'm John Rangel. I'm recently retired after about 35 years, over 35 years of senior financial experience, mostly as a CFO and mostly in the sporting goods business and outdoor products business. So this is my first time being a judge, looking forward to learning from the students and also hopefully being able to give some reasonable feedback.
Awesome. Team, remember you're in character, so don't tell us where you're from but go ahead and introduce yourselves. I'll let you guys just go around.
Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Hooper. My colleagues are Aura, Samantha, Loreto, and we're missing one person, which is Luisa Serrano. And yeah, we're pretty much very excited. And thank you very much for your opportunity and for your patience. Specifically, yeah, we have some technical issues, but yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read from a script, and I'm pretty sure you all know it. In this part of the competition, you're taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to the judges. Please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. You have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three counts. During this time, teams will be uninterrupted. When you are finished, the judges will ask you questions for 10 to 15 minutes. During the Q&A, both you and the judges stay in character. After the Q&A, the judges will give you feedback outside the role playing. Okay, you guys will have 25 minutes. I have my timer.
Hello, good morning. We are Fungi Sports, a company that promotes environmental care, and offers innovative solutions to businesses. I'm Aura, and I will provide you some context about McDonald's. And my colleague Patrick will talk about the issue McDonald's is facing. Loreto, Samantha will discuss the financial, legal, and ethical problem in more detail. Well, to provide some context on McDonald's influence, we'll present a few facts. Well, McDonald's is a fast food restaurant chain. It is one of the largest food company in the world. In 2023, the company earned 25.5 billion US dollars and had more than 41,800 locations worldwide. In the same year, the United States, it had 30,500 locations and was the country with the most restaurants in the world. A little bit or more facts. More than 68 million people eat at McDonald's daily, representing approximately 1% of the world's population. And according to the source Investing, McDonald's serves approximately 75 hamburgers per second worldwide. This company has chosen sustainability initiatives such as using sustainable ingredients and reducing its environmental impact in order to adapt to these industry trends. The problem with the company is most of their food is not considered healthy, as it contains high levels of saturated and trans fats due to the frequent use of frying. So this type of food is also high in sodium and calories, which can lead to high blood pressure and weight gain. On top of that, regularly eating this kind of diet can also contribute to obesity and diabetes. In Mexico, more than half of the population consume junk food several times a week, and 30% consume it every day. Globally, in terms of speaking of globally, obesity is becoming increasingly common, partly to the high consumption on junk food. In Mexico, an average of 214 kilograms of ultra-processed food are consumed per person each year. Additionally, 12 of the Mexican population suffers from nutritional deficiency as a result of excessive junk food consumption. To better understand how many people are affected by overweight and obesity, it is important to consider these data. For example, 37.3 of children between the age of 5 and 11 are affected by overweight, and also the obesity rate among adults has reached 36.9%. So I will now turn it over to my colleague Patrick.
Thank you, Aura. So let's start talking about some alarming statistics. So in Mexico, overweight and obesity affect more than 75% of the adult population and 35.6% of children. Mexico ranks in the world for childhood obesity and second for adult obesity, surpassed only by the United States. So the next one, the social problem. Obesity not only affects people's physical health, but also has economic and social implications. Individuals with obesity are higher risk of developing chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular conditions. These health conditions require ongoing medical care and can lead to a decrease of quality of life. Additionally, rising healthcare costs and loss of workplace productivity are significant economic consequences of obesity. The production process at McDonald's requires massive amounts of beef, crops, water, and energy, which it's a significant impact in the world. Large amounts of land are used for livestock farming, contributing to deforestation. Additionally, vast amounts of water are required both for crops that feed the cattle and for cattle's direct consumption. On top of that, significant fossils are also used in the transportation and logistics, further increasing the environmental impact. And furthermore, cattle emits methane during their digestions, which pollutes the environment. According to data from The Economics, 12% of global greenhouse gas emissions came from the livestock only by themselves. And these are some percentages of the emissions produced by animals. Livestock accounts for 62% of total emissions. And by the time the meat is already produced 99 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram, this already has consequences such as deforestation and the destruction of biodiversity. The environmental impact of cattle feed production is significant. Around 80% of global soy is used for livestock feed, including for McDonald's chickens and cattle. This leads to soil degradation as it exhausts nutrition and reduces fertility. The heavy use of pesticides and synthetic fertilizers contributes to the water pollution. And additionally, monoculture farming destroys natural habitats, leading to the biodiversity loss and threatening the pollinators of wildlife like bees. So now I will hand it over to Loreto. Thank you.
The solution could start with having mushrooms in McDonald's supply chain, which, mushrooms could represent a sustainable and efficient alternative to transform the food industry overall. Their cultivation requires significantly less water compared to other foods. It contributes to carbon capture and support soil regeneration, and these environmental benefits make them an excellent option for moving towards a more sustainable production model. So using mushrooms to improve the food industry, as they require less water compared to other foods, could also help to capture carbon and to lessen the environmental impact. Also, mushroom cultivation requires substrate. Coffee grounds or agricultural waste could be used to prevent burning that emits CO2. Carbon sequestration, mushrooms sequester 0.5 to 1 kilogram of CO2 equality per kilogram of mushrooms, according to the Mushroom Council 2024. It could also help to start regenerating soil, as mycelium, the root of mushrooms, improves soil structures, retains nutrients, and promotes microbial biodiversity. And the byproducts of cultivation, the used substrate can be turned into organic compost to rehabilitate degraded lands. So to cultivate mushrooms, very few things are needed. For example, substrate, which, as I said, will lessen the impact and will also help us to become more sustainable in the way we all are eating. Because as my partner said, most people over the world are consuming junk food on a daily basis. So to have this type of products involved in the main, in one of the main chains that are consumed, it could be a huge positive impact around the world. So the plan or the stages to get to this solution is, first of all, to invest in a supplier that has available land in Mexico. So there could be a way to establish a mushroom cultivation center. This space will serve as a starting point for integrating mushroom into McDonald's supply chain. Stage 2, hybrid products. McDonald's will develop a line of products where meat is combined with mushrooms in a 50-50 ratio. So this will help to reduce meat consumption, decrease the environmental footprint, maintain the taste and texture that consumers expect. And also from these crops, 100% vegetarian or vegan menus will also be designed, including burgers made exclusively with mushrooms, aimed at an audience seeking healthier and more sustainable options. There will be burgers made exclusively with mushrooms, and well, as I said, the target audience will include seek healthier options, even if they're not already vegan or vegetarian. In stage 3, promoting food self-sufficiency. McDonald's will promote food self-sufficiency. McDonald's will also support sustainable development, goal number 2. We could also offer mushroom cultivation kits, either as promotional gifts or at low cost. It also will help to engage consumers in sustainable practices and will help also to position the brand as a promoter of conscious and eco-friendly eating. In solution, positive impact on water reduction. Approximately 15,000 liters of water are needed to produce 1 kilogram of beef. In case of the mushrooms, they only need 300 to 500 liters of water per kilogram, according to FAO 2024. So for a 150 grams beef burger, it requires the usage of 2,400 liters of water. Meanwhile, for a 50-50 burger, as proposed, it would need 1,200 liters for the beef and 37.5 liters for the mushrooms, totaling 1,237.5 liters, which could help us have 48% water savings. So in the global scale, if McDonald's sells 1 million burgers per day, the savings will be 1.16 million meters of water per day. And this is the equivalent to 464 Olympic swimming pools. We included this table to compare the greenhouse gas emissions, water usage, and net use of different animals. So as you can see, cows require the most of these three elements. In the pilot, you can see that in every single aspect, the meat that comes from cows are the ones that are not by any chance proportionally less damaging than compared to the other elements. For example, even a pig, meat that comes from pigs do not compare in the amount of damage that is making to the world.
The ethical consideration and our solution is to protect the environment. As we say, McDonald's reliance on beef, a major contributor to global warming through methane emissions, water depletion, and also deforestation. This presents significant ethical concerns. Additional, its products often high in saturated fats, sodium, and many sugars that these contribute to health issues like obesity and diabetes. This ethical dilemma lies in the right of people to live in a healthy environment and access nutritious food. Also, McDonald's over-reliance on beef violates the right to a pollution-free world and unsustainable resource usage. Similarly to its unhealthy menu options and compromise the right to a proper nutrition and contribute to public health problems. Also, consumers have the right to be informed about the environmental and health impacts of these foods that they consume. With our proposal for hybrid and plant-based options, McDonald's can reduce beef consumption, also deforestation and water use that will help with lower emissions and also promoting healthy eating and contributing to the fight against the climate change. Now the legal analysis that in Mexico, several regulations must be followed due to climate change concerns. One of these laws is called the General Climate Change. The legal compliance and risk reduction by implementing mushrooms and registering its emissions, McDonald's will avoid penalties and can stay compliant with Article 87. And actually participating in this climate change mitigation improves the brand's perception and also its amount increasingly eco-conscious consumers. And also the companies that contribute to these climate goals may be eligible for financial support, subsidies, or tax incentives. Another regulation is ISO 1406241 that by currently quantifying emissions, McDonald's can identify which part of the process, like meat production, emits the most and how replacing it, particularly with mushrooms, helps reduce those emissions. Well, another standard is YSO 14067. This could benefit McDonald's. It will be able to demonstrate with data that mushroom-based burger has a lower impact than traditional one. And also, it could launch products with a low carbon footprint label, which is important to consumers and who value environmental friendly companies.
So the financial aspect, McDonald's will finance its projects by establishing a partnership with one of its agriculture suppliers who already has sustainable land. Instead of purchasing new land, the focus will be on optimizing the use of existing resources. McDonald's will also apply for funding from a program called Green Climate Fund, created by the United Nations, which supports projects that reduce emissions and promote climate resilience, especially in developing countries like Mexico. Another source of funding will come from McDonald's launching a campaign called Run for McFuture, a series of marathons and family runs in major cities across Mexico. And this means a large portion of the registration fee will be directly allocated to mushroom cultivation. This means the races will be aligned with themes of health, nutrition, and environment. In addition to raising funds, the campaign will raise public awareness and generate social engagement. And the initiative promotes physical exercise while funding an environmental cause. If each race attracts 30,000 participants with an average of donation of $10, a single race would raise 300,000 US dollars. And now I will hand it over to Luisa.
Yes. Well, this is a 3-year financial projection that we made for implementing these projects in Mexico. We also have an estimated production of 500 tons of mushrooms. It's like a 50-50 mixes. If we can skip to the next one, we have a revenue from mushroom kits that it will be 800,000, yeah, $800,000 to $1,200,000, and the sale of 100,000 cultivation kits will be priced at $8, and this is like the margin. This will be like the market entry price to familiarize people with it, and it will be like slightly a lower price. However, the goal is also to spark interest and also raise awareness about the self-sufficiency. In these 3 years, the project that we're gonna do will generate approximately from $3.62 million in net profits, and after paying like this operational costs and taxes. These taxes will be the 30%, as the companies in Mexico are taxed at this rate, yeah, for their annual income. And the operating costs will include also salaries and marketing strategies. Each year, we're gonna get in contact and in touch with 25 farmers that will be employed, with also an average annual salary of $10,000 per person. This salary also is above like the minimum wage in Mexico, and the annual salary payments to farmers will be $250,000. This salary has a social impact also because it generates stable and formal rural employment. It also provides training and in a sustainable techniques like using the agricultural waste and stuff. It also will provide access to dignified income by participating in a sustainable and modern system. And it would also reduce the informal work agricultural areas. That it's something very important in this country. Now, with this crop, it's expected to harvest about 500 tons of mushrooms. Each industrial corp will replace approximately 200 tons of meat per year with this. And this project also aims to avoid some sustainable things, such as 19 2,646 tons of CO2, 19,000, I'm sorry, 2.98 million square meters of water, and 32.6 kilometers of square kilometers of land. Also, this industrial culture will have an high impact on the social and economic fields, and the financial refund will be a little bit more direct or complemented by these subsidies.
And that will be the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for the judges, and we look forward to the future endeavors and creating a beautiful and healthy community.
Thank you. We appreciate that presentation. I'll start with the first question, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues. I appreciate all of the information with respect to the health issues and the production and the impact that it's having on the environment. Is McDonald's the sole contributor to the issues that we're facing in the country? Are we to bear the are we to bear the total impact of resolving the obesity issue? Are you saying that this is McDonald's problem to resolve in an ethical way?
So, answering your question, Nathan, thank you. McDonald's is quite a big issue in Mexico because it's very accessible and very cheap, especially for all the Mexican families. According to a study, the classic Mexican breakfast includes tortilla, scrambled eggs, beans, and Coca-Cola. And of course, McDonald's, it's not the major cost, it's not the whole problem, it's not the everything. But I think because it's, like I said, it's cheap, it's very accessible, and most families are in the lower middle class. They depend on this kind of menus, and it's very sad to see how people depend on this type of diets. And it's a very small percentage of people that are having actually meals with meats, vegetables, fruits, and wheats.
Also, to complement Patrick answer, McDonald's is not like the main issue, but as he mentioned, it's a big sector that participates in the in the food chain here in Mexico. So it would be like an example to put for other companies and industries to start because of the weight that it has here in Mexico. And it will be like, it would not solve, of course, like the whole problem, but it would be a start.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to my colleagues.
Thank you, Nathan.
Hi, this is Norma. I have a couple of questions. So you mentioned that, we at McDonald's offer some unhealthy menu options, right? Are mushrooms more nutrient dense foods? Do they taste okay? Are any other companies doing this in our space, or will we be the pioneers in this?
So mushrooms have a very positive impact in the human body. A specific type of mushrooms also reduce stress and depression, but certain mushrooms contain B2 vitamins and B3 and B5, which are specifically, very helpful to reduce stress anxiety. And they also contain great minerals like phosphorus and potassium and lots of vitamin Ds, which help reduce inflammations and, it helps the immune system as well.
Also, mushrooms are a very versatile ingredient because it has a little to no taste, so you can infuse it with a lot of different tastes. There are different and several restaurants that are implementing like their foods mainly with mushrooms, and they're making like these I don't know how to explain it, but like different flavored mushrooms, you know, to make maybe different types of tacos and stuff. And that's a little bit healthier than many other options. And you can like add your favorite flavors to the test with mushrooms. It's a really versatile food. So that's something incredible about mushrooms.
Got it.
Also adding more information, because you asked if we would be pioneers in this sector, I think the answer is yes. At least when it comes to the fast food industries, there's no any chain that is already doing it, since this is like a really recent alternative to meats. So yes, I think we will be pioneers in this sector.
Great, thank you for that. Do you think then if we start offering these kind of healthier options, it sounds like it's healthier, do we need to change marketing to children? Like, would it be better than now if we are able to market this to kids?
Yes, absolutely, Norma. Mexico has banned the marketing phases of cereals, which is, animals, which contains, graphic photos of an elephant, a tiger, etc. And it has shown in recent studies that it has decreased the consumption of cereal. And I think if McDonald's can implement a more healthy marketing strategy, I think it will, yeah, have a positive impact in the Mexican community, especially, like I said, in the lower middle class. And yeah, I think it would.
I have one last question, if that's okay. So you mentioned kind of a hybrid menu of maybe some items that were mixing beef and mushroom, some just mushroom. If beef remains the main part of our menu, do we need to address any of what you presented earlier on beef production, factor, like farming practices, any of that? You mentioned transferring maybe some of the land to be able to do this. Does that require us to train our current suppliers to transform their land? Is that easy for them to do? So more focus on our current beef providers, right? And the impact to them.
Yes, so the backbone of every single country are the farmers. Um, I think if we could give them some type of training of how to produce mushrooms, because what we want to do is to help the community, not to give away. So um, it's not okay to take away, strip away all the farmers' cattle and all their cows. But what we can do is train them to cultivate mushrooms, which is not very hard. It requires a very humid cultivate ground and just water. It's pretty much that simple. It doesn't require a lot of A and B, C, D process. So I think, yes, we will have to train the farmers to do the certain process that they need to carry. But yeah, I think it will be a gradual process.
Also, we know it's impossible to eradicate like the use of meat and also like that industry in particular. So yeah, it would be like a transferring for some farmers to maybe reduce like the meat consumption, and also to make awareness of the whys of this, and also to make, like you said, a hybrid menu. I think in this moment of time, we believe that it's practically impossible to eradicate the usage or the consumption of meat, but it could be helpful also to ourselves to eat less red meats and to try to make this transition like along the way.
Got it. Thank you.
I have a question. I know from the write-up that you guys put together that I'm on the McDonald's board of directors. And I do love from that standpoint that you're looking at, reducing CO2, reducing water, land usage, and, most especially looking at health and trying to reduce obesity. I think, this is the direction of the future and things that we need to look into. My questions as a board of director member would be in regards to what kind of development may or may not have been done already to look at recipes, to do some kind of food testing. And really, I guess, from a cost perspective, I'm also wondering if you've looked at maybe partnering with people who are already getting started in this kind of space where they're using, I believe Bill Gates got really involved in some kind of an Impossible Burger type thing. I don't really know the whole history of that, but I know there are people who are already in this space. And did you look at maybe partnering with someone to kind of take advantage of all the research and food tasting and those kinds of things that they've already put into it, so that we still want our custom McDonald's version, but have you looked at leveraging anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. We have looked at partnering up with indigenous communities in Mexico. These indigenous communities are using this type of mushroom recipes, which are helpful, like I said, decreasing depression, anxiety, and has a lot of, minerals and vitamins that help the body to have a better immune system. So I think if we can partner with certain indigenous communities and promote their recipes, their culture, their way of making these foods, will not only have an impact on the community in a healthy way, but also by raising awareness of what they do and what kind of what's the word, what kind of things they bring to the table.
My other question would be, we all have a history with McDonald's. I mean, we've all grown up with it. We've kind of eaten it all of our lives. We've fed it to our children. It's very popular everywhere around the world. And we all have the marketing brand of McDonald's in our mind's eye. This is a very big change. I'm assuming that you're not looking at dropping any of the menu, but instead you're looking at adding to the menu with the half and half mix and the vegetarian. In what ways would you see developing a way to market this to your customers around the world? Because it's a big change.
Okay, here I believe the world is changing right now. And there's been a tendency where people are starting to change their diet to a pescatarian, to a vegetarian, to a vegan even diet. And the options are reduced to us people that we change our diet. So I believe it could be a reduced sector, but the sector will be there. And also it would increase sales to McDonald's because it would be a sector that they don't have at all right now. So I think that it would increase popularity of McDonald's because it would be an option, like another sector will feel included in the McDonald's menu. And I grew up as a kid eating McDonald's, but now I cannot do it because I changed my diet. So I don't eat meat, I don't eat chicken, I don't eat like egg and stuff. And in my case, I would feel included again and I would feel part of the McDonald's family. So I think that the marketing phase of this would be really easy because it would be something so new and so different that even people that are not vegetarian would try it, just because McDonald's has been part of our history, as you mentioned.
Yes, and like Luisa said, I think using a better marketing strategy, I think using these influencers and certain, important people in Mexico that have, certain power and certain, positions, economic positions that will promote this type of healthy diet will also have like a trend, like an impact on these Mexican communities. So yes, I think answering your question, yes, I think changing this type of marketing strategy, this kind of message will improve the community and the country.
On the other hand, I think that with including mushrooms in McDonald's menu, I think that creating new recipes using these mushrooms, as Luisa said, the mushrooms have little to not taste at all. the way the recipes could be used. For example, creating a barbecue mushroom burger, and a way to promote it. I think that by using these TikTokers and also by promoting to kids like try mushrooms, try something new, or well, you know, like for example with toys, which is one of the main aspects which, well, one of the main reasons why children love to go to McDonald's, the little toys that come with the happy boxes. Uh, I think that could be a great way to promote it, but also by using popular or known flavors combined with mushrooms.
And also one thing that we have with this mushroom thing is that we're introducing like a healthy space for McDonald's. So more than only influencers and TikTokers, we also have like very very important people in the health industry that could be promoting this different sort of foods that McDonald's are serving. And you can also have a different like a different sector that would be like vegetarians, vegans and stuff, but also people like that dedicate their lives to their lifestyle and to having a healthier lifestyle and stuff, and also including McDonald's to their diet. And that's also more than kids and stuff. You have different sectors that will feel included in this big family, in this big McDonald's family.
Thank you.
Just one question about competition. Looking at the space right now, we also have Impossible and we have Beyond. So those are alternative meat sources. Have you done analysis on health of those, comparatively speaking, to mushrooms? And if you could share that information with me.
You
Okay, so
mean by sharing information?
Oh,
Like,
just what you saw by analyzing your straight meat versus Impossible Burger, which is a type of alternative to meat, and also Beyond Meat. So those are the two big ones that we see, and we have seen certain chains starting to transition into a vegetarian or non-meat menu. What is the advantage there from a health perspective to go into a slower transition with mushrooms as opposed to already working with these two that are already established?
okay, so these are completely different like as an industry, and the meat building with the Impossible Burger and also the Beyond Meat Burger. And there's also another very famous company that it's called Notco, and it's like the nut cheese, the nut, etc. So the difference between them is that their meats are composed by different groups of meals. Like they have cereals, they have maybe they have like chickpeas and stuff built in a patty of meat. One of them uses AI to build their food, their whole food that is not cooked. They use this to assimilate the flavor of meat and of chicken and of milk and etc. etc. The difference is that those contain a little bit more protein. Beyond Meat in particular has a little bit more of fats and like fats in general, so that it can resemble a little bit more to the taste and also the texture of meat. And the Impossible Meat has a little bit less of flavor. But all of them, the particular, like the thing that they have in common is that it's a mixture of different cereals and different vegetables in one patty. Here with mushrooms, it has maybe a little bit less of protein, but it has a lot of minerals and a lot of different components that are very good and rich for our health. So that's like the main difference. Now, the other part is that also the texture will be completely different, and the taste could resemble to meat, but it will be a difficult process to get to, mostly because of the texture. And when you don't like the texture, or the texture is different, the taste doesn't pop up that much. So that's like the main difference between mushrooms and those other like companies with this vegetarian or vegan meats and poultries and stuff.
You guys did a great job at explaining to the board. what alternatives that we should be looking at. I had two questions. One is kind of coming at it from a financial perspective. So, Luis, I think you showed the financial forecast, and I didn't understand, were you looking at an example for one franchisee or one store of McDonald's, or was this for McDonald's in Mexico in total, or what was that financial forecast representing?
So you mean like the revenues and stuff that we're gonna have?
Right, right.
Okay,
Was that
so
for just one store?
we did it not only basing it in McDonald's itself, we did it basing it in our production. Like how the revenue that we would have with our production of mushrooms and our like exportation or importation or our whatever we're gonna use to produce our mushrooms so that we can give it to this like franchises that are in Mexico. It's based like in like the production we have to give it to the different franchises here in like the whole Mexico part.
Mhm. Okay, so it's for all of Mexico. The other question I had was, how important is the mushroom itself? I was trying to understand what was the most important problem that you were trying to solve for. So you mentioned several kind of ethical issues. You talked about environmental, you talked about health, you talked about water, which is part of the environment, you talked about methane and this sort of thing. So mushroom seems to be an important part of seems to be the most important part of your solution. But I was curious, what problem, what was the most important problem that you're trying to solve for? And if mushrooms, let's say there are people that don't like the taste of mushrooms, or, are there other potential solutions that maybe McDonald's is already working on? So what is the main ethical issue that you're trying to solve for?
Well, I think it's a matter of perspectives, but the main issue is that more than half of the population of Mexico lives in poverty, or live like with what the money they make day by day, and they have to distribute that money to make it to the end of the month and to be able to keep eating. So, and also by working more at an average 48 hours per week. So this is why most people from this sector go to McDonald's or to any fast food chain in general. So I think one of the main issues we tried to address was this, that most people that go on a daily basis to this type of food change could have these more healthy options, so that they gain more protein, that they start having these vitamins and minerals that other type of food do not have. Starting with that, I think that's the main issue. The second main issue is the waste of water. Not only that, but Mexico as a country overall does not have any big way to treat the water that has been used already, so there's no usage of the cycle of water as it happens in other countries. So by reducing the waste of water, I think that we're also helping the country in all states, because, for example, in the north of Mexico, last year, there has been a shortage of water. Many people, for example, in big cities of Mexico, like Monterrey, have been struggling on a daily basis. Like they didn't even have water to drink or to take a bath, and they had to do it like 3 times a week because of the shortage of water. So I think those are the two main issues to be solved, but there's a couple more.
John, also answering your question, I think, so let's say if kids don't like mushrooms and they don't like the taste, what could we also do is implementing some kind of sauce. Instead of, putting certain mushrooms in the burger, we can replace it with a sauce that could be in a kids menu, let's say. and this will be a more subtle way for them to eat the burger and not be very picky about it.
Also, as I mentioned earlier, the mushrooms are a very versatile food in general. So you can change the flavor very easy and quickly with different seasonings and different sort of sauces and stuff when you put it with the mushrooms. So it's and it actually tastes completely different. You couldn't even imagine that you're eating mushroom when you change the flavor so radically with the correct seasonings. The problem would be sometimes could be like the texture. Some people don't like mushrooms because of the texture, but that also could be changed with maybe a little bit breadcrumbs and like being mixed in, so you can make a little patty and adding a little bit of quinoa maybe or stuff, so you can make a little patty that the texture changes and also the flavor changes, and you can add, I don't know, maybe like the McDonald's flavor is something that when you think in a burger, you think in a flavor that it's McDonald's. And you think the McDonald's flavor, you can add it into that mixture and make different little patties that have maybe they could have meat, they could not have meat, and they could have different quinoa, chickpeas, even rice. And you can, when you add two different carbohydrates, then you make protein. So that's like the thing with mushrooms. That's amazing with mushrooms. That's when that's the like a whole new world that you can build with mushrooms.
Thank you.
Okay. Any last follow-up questions? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. In regards to overall beef that goes into our McDonald's facilities in Mexico, does all the beef come from Mexico?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so but is it all coming from North America though? So it's coming from possibly the United States into Mexico?
Yes, it's
Yes.
like a mixture. Some in different places they have different importations and also exportations of meat. So we have we import things from the US, meat from the US, but also national industries give us meat. So it's like a mixture. It's not only the US and not only Mexico.
Okay, going back to one of the original questions then about the economics of new industries coming up and other industries potentially getting hit. Right now with the beef production, the idea is, or the beef farmers, the idea is to transition them completely or partially to start doing mushrooms. Is that the assumption?
Yes, mostly. It's to make a hybrid. No, we know it's impossible to to eradicate the meat productions and stuff, but we can make it hybrid so that we can trying to educate them the with also getting them to know that it's also financially good for them, and to training them to cultivate this mushroom stuff.
So from the looking at the country of Mexico, for example, most of those farmers are already being subsidized in one way or another from the beef production. So can we make a compelling argument to have more subsidies to start this program that will be financially beneficial to the farmers and to us at McDonald's?
Yes, it's a gradual process. It's not an impact like all this other, but yeah, it's a gradual that will take time to be very impactful.
And I think along the way, also, as long as we are making this hybrid model of also farming and growing mushrooms and stuff, the subsidies would come along the way, but it will be a process like everything.
I think it can also be compared, like, for example, cars. People a few years ago were very skeptical to, start using hybrid cars or completely electrical cars. And now it's very common to see electrical or hybrid cars all around the country. So I think that could happen. The same could happen to mushrooms. Like, people at first might be skeptical, but then would start at first liking it and then seeing it as a good replacement for meat, and also as a cheaper way to, get to the end of the month without starving, and also having making a having the necessary nutrients to keep up with their lives, and also, like Lucy said, the fitness industry, I think that it could also gain a huge traction from it, since, even people in the fitness industry are working corporate jobs, and have admitted that sometimes they have to recur to fast food chains, to eat certain times. So I think the same could happen with mushroom burgers and all the options that we are.
Well, let's go ahead. I appreciate all the questions and the responses. That was really, really good. Let's break character and let's go around the judges and provide feedback, how you thought, and let's start with Norma. Do you have any feedback you'd like to give the team?
Good job. Good job overall. I think you guys handle yourself well under kind of a little bit of an unknown at the beginning, right? A couple of things, the intro, when you're opening a meeting or opening a board meeting specifically, a more compelling introduction and closing, right? We just jumped right into a lot of stats and a lot of information for us as a board. I thought the slides were visually very well. I think a little bit more organization for impact, right? Like you gave us a lot of shocking statistics on like high empty calorie foods. You kind of hurt our feelings a bit as a board of directors, right? Because you're like, we're doing all this wrong. And then you immediately around food and nutrition and obesity and everything around that. But then we started with the environmental impact of mushrooms. So I understood why that question was also asked, like, what was the main issue we were solving? It just felt like we're doing everything wrong. And this might solve everything, some of it. How does it link back? So I thought that was a little bit confusing. Just I would suggest more like organization to make sure you get the impact you were looking for. I really like the link of statistics with real examples, like not just the number of gallons of millions of water we were saving or CO2 emissions, but you linked it to 4,300 cars or, so many swimming pools. I thought that was very impactful. It did come off to me as a personal passion project versus a business proposition. For me, sitting as the board of directors, I felt like maybe this is a group of employees or consultants that are coming in that do not consume our product. And immediately it's off-putting to me of like, how could you have an opinion if you don't consume our product, right? You don't use our product, and then you're coming in with a passion project versus a real business proposition, right? So less opinion, more fact. Just like non-meat or alternate protein diets are on the rise, so are meat-focused options. Lots of people consuming a lot of very carnivore diets, right? So a little bit more facts, I think, along those lines. I thought the Q&A went really, really well. It was super compelling that you knew a lot of information on mushrooms. And again, as a board member, I'm thinking flavor. I'm thinking we're putting good options out there. People are buying. We're going to change this and switch it. You had a lot of good information there about nutritionals, flavor, recipes. I really like that. I like the tie to local regulations with the packaging icons. I thought that was great. I don't know about continuing to promote to children. I think maybe a little bit more about the marketing side of it and how you would promote or change how we talk about it, right? Like the toys bring the kids in, but then we're feeding them maybe a little bit unhealthy products. So now that we have this, do we do anything different? I thought that was great. I thought when you're talking about people that are living in poverty or extreme poverty, from our perspective, we're solving or helping to address some of what they're going through, right? So aren't we supporting the people living in poverty by offering them a low-cost food is probably what we're thinking. So the perspective and keeping that in mind, that again, it gave very like outsider view that we're doing everything wrong. And just from business side, like nobody wants to hear that, right? Even if you're bringing a very compelling case, I think it's also in the wording and how you would do that. But I think overall it was great. It's a trend that's growing. I think just adding some more facts will help businesses know the, seriousness and the opportunity there of, the market for vegetarian, the market for vegan consumers. Are they growing? Do we have to invest more in attracting them and kind of rebranding ourselves as a healthy alternative? Because we have salads, we have some healthy alternatives. Why isn't that enough? So those were some of my thoughts. But I think you guys did a great job. I like that everyone was answering and addressing certain portions and questions. So thank you for today. I thought that was great.
Thank you.
Marianne?
A really great topic, something I, never would have really thought about. And I do think that these kinds of options are the future, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of it. So McDonald's should get on board with this and figure out a way to make it happen. One of the things that, as the listener, you guys didn't really talk a whole lot about us being board members. I picked that up off of your sheet that you provided, and I didn't really know exactly who you guys were. Fungi Sports, but is that a consulting firm? Like, how are you involved with McDonald's, and what are you, what's your purpose in presenting to us today? I also was a little unclear on the marketing aspects of it, the branding aspects of it, and kind of the cost benefit ratio. The numbers were a little bit difficult for me to follow. But overall, I did really like a lot of what you guys had to say in terms of the Q&A as well. And the perspective of the amount of people in Mexico who can't really afford a lot, and how McDonald's is providing that. It was interesting to hear about. So some of that perspective that we don't necessarily have. There was one slide in Spanish too that I couldn't read. So, but I did overall like your slides. I definitely like this idea. I think it's the future, and I would love to see you guys dig into even more details, because I think there's a lot there. So thank you.
Thanks. Alessandro?
Overall, I thought it was really great. I am in the alcohol industry, and right now we're seeing some pretty significant shifts in our own industry with non-alcoholic and even with mushroom-based cocktails as well. So that's what really kind of led me to joining this panel as well, because I thought that from the food perspective, it's really compelling. I would have loved to, and I was trying to kind of get a little bit more feedback in terms of competition and what other trends are out there and that's why I mentioned Impossible and Beyond. I would have loved to have seen a slide looking at a comparison between what advantages and disadvantages there are, so that me as a board member can say, okay, maybe this is something that I definitely want to go into more so than this or that. And I think you guys handled that extremely well when I asked the question. It just, from a visual perspective, I would have loved to have already addressed it on the proposal, saying, hey, we know that there's already alternatives here, but this is why this is so much more compelling to you. That's really where I was kind of going from an economic standpoint. But to address one other thing, I think it was Norma who mentioned it at the beginning. Give us the goal. Give us, like, what do you see as the end goal or the end game for McDonald's with this strategy? Like, we see McDonald's in 25 years being the leader of fast food, but healthy. Just kind of make those really big intentions known at the beginning, so that we already know as an audience where you want to take us. We were still trying to kind of gather that information along the way. I know we were all mentioning that. So I think that would have been a really great way to bring us all in at the beginning. But overall, really great job of answering the questions that we gave to you. I know I could tell you guys really know your stuff. It's just about what you present there that we can take, because sometimes people are looking at that deck after this presentation, after a Q&A, to evaluate it. So you want to make sure that you have as much compelling information on the presentation as possible. But overall, really great work. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
John?
Thanks. So a lot of really good comments. Thank you. I agree with most of what's already been said, but I do have to start off first of all in congratulating all of you. It's really good work. I learned a lot today. I just to be just to be honest, I was taking notes and it's really good to know. I think that a few things that haven't already been said that that I think would be worthwhile when you're making a presentation to a group of executives is to take into consideration what they're already doing and kind of try to tie in sort of their business and their business model to the ethical problem that you're trying to solve. So if you can kind of make the ethical problem their problem and show them a solution that maybe they're already working on that could be applied in the Mexican market. So I'll give you an example. So, McDonald's is really good at a few things, marketing for sure. When they're little kids, 2-year-old kids that know McDonald's already, that's incredible marketing. Second thing that they're really good at is supply chain. So being able to build up, the potatoes that they need, the beef that they need, the breads that they need, all of this sort of thing. They're really, really good at that. And the third thing is the product itself. And I know that they spend a lot of time and money and energy in developing their products and also in sort of coming up with products that are specific for different markets. And they already have vegetarian and vegan products that are being sold in countries like India and a few other places, and in Europe, I've seen it over there as well, that satisfy maybe a lot of, I don't know, might satisfy a lot of the ethical issues that you're trying to solve for. So it's always good to kind of look at it from the person's perspective that you're making the pitch to, and to say, here's the ethical problem. The good news is you're already working on it, and you might consider bringing it to Mexico, and here's how we think it'll work in Mexico, and here's how we think that the market, that the people who actually buy McDonald's in Mexico, this is how we think you could reach them and solve the problem without having to, start from scratch. So I think that's one piece of feedback that I'd give you is just think about when you're trying to solve a problem, make sure that you're helping to solve their problem with maybe some solutions that they've already been coming up with. So it's not a whole new thing like, oh my God, how much are we going to have to invest? How long is it going to take? Is this going to work? How risky is it? These are all things that stand in the way then of an executive making the decision. Second thing, and I'm giving this feedback not in a negative way, but just for you guys to think about in the future. If you're going to provide a financial argument, make sure that you're really clear and really sharp with the financial argument and make it as tight as possible, clear and tight. I have to say I was a little confused also with the numbers and what they represented and how realistic they were and that sort of thing. And as a financial person, if I were sitting on the board, I'd look at the numbers and ask questions. And if I still didn't understand, then I'd also be skeptical about your presentation. So just make sure that all the elements are tied down and are as good as sort of the rest of the argument that you made. So I think there was a little bit of a weakness there. Otherwise, again, I have to congratulate you because I think it was a great presentation and really impressed by you all.
So I'll wrap it up here. I want to say congratulations. This was a really good presentation, very passionate, very well thought through. I won't rehash what the other panel member said. It was all spot on. I just want to highlight a couple of things. You grabbed my attention at the beginning because I can still see certain stats in my mind. McDonald's feeds 1% of the population, I think, a day. the world's population today, 474 Olympic pools filled with water. I mean, those are some really big, compelling things. Just two things that I'll just piggyback on. There's a couple of terms we use in the business world, right? Don't boil the ocean. You guys set up a really nice at the beginning, but we went from health issues, childhood obesity, healthcare costs, water consumption, transportation, greenhouse emissions. Again, I didn't know where we were going, but I understood what the themes were. Just kind of laser focus on what you want to hit. Second thing, what John said, another business thing, try not to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's doing this somewhere, I'm sure of it. And so hitting home where other McDonald's is doing in other regions in the world, that we can take those nuggets and bring them. And here's how we can successfully replicate this model in our part of the world so that we can really hit the ground running and hear all the ideas. Would have been really good. But you guys are definitely on the right track, have all the key elements. And this was a great presentation. I really appreciate the enthusiasm and the teamwork. You guys were all really engaged, and I appreciate that.